But what I'm going to go over today is starting seeds, what we can start now. I'm going to show you a cool way that I've been using at my house to start seeds. And I'm going to show you a really powerful inoculant that you can make at home to put in your garden to bring some life to your soil. Okay, that's one of the most important things, is having healthy soil, because the plants then have like their own defense mechanism to keep pests and diseases away. And having more good bacteria in the soil will help balance all the bad bacteria in there as well. So normally when people start seeds, they'll start in plastic trays like this. We've been using these a lot. You can see after a while they start to break and tear apart. I mean, we're kind of rough with them on the farm. But also I like little pots that you get at the plant nursery. We can buy the plants. You can reuse those. But what we've started to do is use soil blocks. Has anybody seen this soil blocker? So this helps us like reduce our plastic waste. This tool will last more than a lifetime. These will last a couple of years, okay? And the idea behind this is that there's a lot more soil in here, but when the roots are growing in these plastic trays, once they start to hit the side, they'll kind of start to like go in circles and they'll get like root bound. And if you put that in the ground, it might keep going in that same kind of motion. With the soil block, when I start to make them, you'll see, there's air on the side. So once the root gets to the side of it, it's called air pruning. And it'll stop growing outwards and it'll just keep going through the block. So like right behind the side of the soil, there's just like tons of roots just waiting right there. So when you put it in the ground, they just all shoot out from each side. So I would say that this blocker, I think it's like 30, 40 bucks, but it'll last you a really, really, really long time. We just have these trays that we use, but you can use anything. People use like old cafeteria trays. I like line this with an old plastic bag. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money for these types of trays. Also, if you have friends that are gardeners, maybe go in with them and y'all can split this, because you don't need it all the time. And they come in different sizes too. So this is like a little mini blocker. This makes 20, this makes 4. And, okay, should I make one right now? Okay, I'll make one and explain it. All right. For this soil mix, it needs to be super, super, super wet to smash into the blocks. Does anybody know about peat moss? You know what it is? Okay, it's in like most every single potting mix. And the process to get the peat moss is like they trench out bogs, okay? And that takes like thousands of years to for these bogs to create. So it's not really a renewable natural resource because it takes so long and we're just dredging them out. So I've been looking for alternatives. There's coconut husks, coconut core that people use. It's still shipped in from around the world. The husks are really salty, and to desalinate them just takes intense amount of water. So I found this product that I'm experimenting with. It's called Pit Moss, like peat moss. The company started in Pittsburgh, so it's called Pit Moss. But it is a recycled paper product, and it kind of has like the same feel as peat moss. So I got this whole bag for like $18. I had to order it online. But I mean, this will last me from my garden for like a year or two at least. Oh, okay. It kind of looks like insulation, like paper insulation. And so it's, they take recycled paper and they process it so it just becomes fibrous. They've done testing on it. There's no forever chemicals or anything terrible in it. So this is what I've been using. And my seedlings are happy so far. They're probably about 3 weeks old right now. So this stuff is really cool. If you can, start getting away from peat moss because it's kind of terrible. I mean, nothing's really going to replace it because it's a different product, but yeah, we can do our best.
So it's not good?
What?
It's not good.
I mean, the plants love it, but it's just destroying the environment. They're dredging up. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Because is that what's in that bag?
This?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did is I took some of the peat moss and I mixed in some compost. All right. So I'm gonna add a little more. This is worm castings. Put that in there. All right, and this needs to be pretty sloppy wet. They say that it should be like brownie batter. So I'm gonna let this. It gets pretty messy. I might need somebody to come help me in a second, but. All right. Oh no, I'm okay right now. All right, so when you squeeze, there should be some water coming out. Okay, that looks good. All right, so what you do is you take your soil blocker. Some people like mash it down in here. I've actually just been smearing it in here. It's actually kind of fun. I mean, I know I'm weird and I enjoy this, but you really want to press it into the soil blocks. All right. You want to clear off the bottom. You're going to put it in your tray. You're going to press down. You're going to pop out the blocks. So they should stay together. So then you have a block. It has little dibbles in here that make the spot for your seed as well, okay? Because this is so wet, you do not have to water it initially. Like, this counts as the first watering, okay? And I would say it's gonna stay wet for like 2 to 3 days, depending on like the environment, okay? So you can start off with the smaller one if you're like trying to save space. There are different, there's a little square dibble. You can pop out this circle one and you put the square in so that you start these. Once they get too big, you can plop them into a bigger block. So you can bump them up. Really tiny seeds like a lot of herbs and like flowers, I'll start in the small blocks, okay?
Like strawberries?
Strawberry, yeah, I'd start in this. So once it gets big enough, like once it gets some true leaves, I'd bump it up into a bigger block until it's safe to plant outside.
So how would you do that? If you bump it up?
I'll show you. Well, it's gonna, the block is gonna have this square indentation, and it's just slightly bigger than one of these.
Okay.
So you'll just pick up this little thing and you just place it in there.
Wow, okay. And it doesn't fall apart or anything?
So once the roots start to grow, the root's gonna hold it all together. Yeah, just like these.
But when you get to like the second watering?
We've been taking a mister and just misting it. I've heard that some people dip it in water. That kind of scares me. I've not tried that. Also, so when you're taking your seeds, it's good to check the date on the seeds. We have tons and tons of seeds for y'all. If it has a date on it, this says 2021. I would still put like 2 seeds in here just in case one of them doesn't sprout. Some people don't cover the seeds up, but a lot of people will just take like, sometimes I just like pinch it closed to cover the seed up. Some people will take some other dirt and fill in the hole. After you fill this whole tray up, I would just lift it up and you'll feel how heavy it is. That is saturated. In a few days, just come lift it up. When you feel it's really light, you need a watering.
And is it just like a mist watering or is it like a water hose?
A shower or a mist setting,
Okay.
just do it really light. If you see the blocks start to deteriorate, like don't take the hose and press up against it. But they're pretty sturdy. I mean, like right away I can like pick this up and it's like sticking together. All right. Last year, maybe around this time, I showed everybody how to make fertilizer with the stinky buckets, and like you ferment plant waste and you make fertilizer. It's from this book, Jadam. It's like a Korean natural farming practice, and it's to empower people to make their own soil amendments so you don't have to go buy stuff. You can just make it at home super cheap. So one part is that fertilizer that I can send instructions on. Also, this book, if you search Jajam Organic Farming PDF on Google, it'll pop up for free. So, and they're really open source about it. Like, they want people to have this information, so I don't feel too bad about that. But in addition to that fertilizer, there's a way to get microorganisms very cheaply, really powerfully into your soil, okay? The main component is leaf mold, okay? And think about like the forest floor, everything that's like dying and decaying, like leaves, animal waste, trees, like anything that's falling, and it's in an old forest, like that stuff's being broken down pretty quickly, and it's all the bacteria and fungi that have just been there for thousands of years, like they are just on it, breaking everything down. The idea is to go into, find an old tree, old forest, someplace that is really undisturbed, and take a handful, like go by the base of the tree, move some leaves, and you want to look for, you might have to come up here and see some of this. You're looking for like white mycelium, like white fuzzy stuff, and that's the beneficial fungi, and there's bacteria all over this leaf. It's called leaf mold, that you want into your garden. When people start a new garden and you disturb soil, kind of the fungal life kind of dissipates and it becomes more bacterial, and a lot of veggies and stuff like a more balanced soil of fungi and bacteria because they help bring nutrients to the roots, okay? So we have bacteria in our soil, but this is going to help inoculate it with a good bacteria and fungi. All right, so the process is find an old tree, somebody that has some land, undisturbed, just grab a handful of the leaf mold. You need to use dechlorinated water, okay? Chlorine will kill the good bacteria and fungi. Our tap water has chlorine, just fill a bucket up, let it sit for 24 hours, it'll all dissipate, you'll be good to go. We are going to put a handful of this leaf mold in the water with baked potato or cooked potato, some kind of fashion, okay? The potato is going to be a simple food that the fungi and bacteria can just eat really quickly, and they'll just multiply and just go. So I've baked a potato. I'm going to take a handful of my leaf mold, and they say to add a little sea salt too, so it has minerals. Just put a sprinkle, not a lot. All right, so I have it all. I put it in a mesh. This is just a paint strainer from Home Depot. It's like $1. I put it all in here in this water, and I'll just massage it to break up the potato. You want the starches to get out because that's what all the bacteria are going to eat. All right. And then I put a lid on it. You want the bag to like hang in there. So you want to close it up. And this is going to sit, depending on the temperature. It's cold right now, the water's cold. It's going to take a little longer, but it's like 36 to 72 hours for this to ferment, okay? It's going to start foaming at the top of it, okay? And it's going to create like a disc of foam. Once the disc gets like, starts separating from the edge of the bucket, that's when you know it's ready. That's like the peak. This stuff is super powerful, okay? You have to dilute this because the microbes are like, have just multiplied and they're just eating the potato and just like going really crazy. So you can do this, you'll do this 1 to 1. So this is essentially gonna make 10 gallons of this inoculant. You can just drench your soil with it, okay? Do this like a week or two before you plant out because sometimes they can like eat the roots because they're just going at it. But they'll help break down material in your soil and make it available for your plants to take up. I made some a few weeks ago. My plants got hit hard in the freeze. I made some, I let it sit too long. I was like, I'm just gonna dump it on the plants. I swear in a week or two, the plants doubled in size.
What?
I swear, I wish I would have taken a picture before. So it's super, super simple. Just look for like white mycelium. And if you have time, if you have like a month, I would do this twice before you plant. So it's like, I'll do it this week, and in 2 weeks I'll do it, and then like I'll plant 2 weeks after that. And you can go to different parts, like find another place where there's woods and grab a different handful, because you're just adding more diversity to your soil. I have something else. I can't get into all the ingredients because we'll be here like another 2 hours, but this is a seed soak solution. So before you start your seeds, you can soak them in this for like 10 to 15 minutes, depending, like tomatoes are small, like 10 minutes. Squash seeds are a little bigger, I do like 30 minutes. And it kind of inoculates the seed with good bacteria. There's like a cleanser, we have vinegar in here, so it kind of like protects it from bad bacteria. This is just a very small experiment, but I took milkweed seeds and I soaked some, and I didn't soak the other ones, and the ones that I soaked sprouted first. This is my first time trying it. I'm like, okay, there's something here, so take what you want. You only need a tiny bit. Like, you can keep adding seeds to it, take them out. That might be it for me. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can help contribute year-round by becoming a Walls Project Insider. Your reoccurring monthly donation will help fund projects like this, as well as the many other programs hosted by the Walls Project. Learn more about these projects by visiting thewallsproject.org.